and it is just a little teeny bit before 7, I think, on Saturday evening, and I decided I'd hit the go live button just a second early to be sure I could get everything to switch over the way it's supposed to. Facebook has started not turning the orientation of the camera until after you go live, so that's always kind of handy. So let me go ahead and be sure I'm actually out in the webs. Hi, Marva, I see you there. Hi, Karen. And I can see my arm moving. That is a very good sign. It almost always means that I am actually live. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend and that you're ready for Father's Day. For those of you who have fathers in heaven, remember they're looking down at you. I am quite certain of that. For everyone else, enjoy tomorrow. Hope you're going to barbecue or do something fun with your family and friends. Hey, Rosie. Hi, Becky. Hi, Danette. And Mary, appreciate you coming from Colorado. So this is our card today, and the star of the show, it uses a couple of things, but the star is actually this brand new Sunflower 3D embossing folder, which is coming on the 1st of July. It's part of the July Online Exclusives release, and it is amazing. If you did nothing but emboss a piece of cardstock and put a sentiment on it, you would be 100% ahead of the game. It would be gorgeous, whatever you did with it. But I decided to get a little bit creative with it. I saw a couple of examples of this out on the internet, and I thought, well, I can do that. So I did. I embossed that Secret C panel in the sunflowers, and then I added some white, and then I added some color, and I have a sympathy sentiment from the new The Right Word stamp set. Now this is in the annual catalog, so you can get it right now. You can also get the other bundle that I have used, the Textured Notes bundle, in the online exclusives available right now. So really the only thing you cannot get this instant as we sit here is the Sunflower 3D embossing folders and the low profile sparkled gems dots that I have used. Okay, everything else you can get right now. So I have already done a little bit of work. Let's go ahead. We'll get started. This is all on my blog tomorrow. And I can just tell you, you might as well just get something to drink because this one's going to take a minute. There's a lot of coloring, and that's just a thing you got to do. Okay, so I took the liberty of embossing a piece of Secret C. Now I started with a larger than I needed panel. So this starts at a 4, this is, I think it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Yep, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all my coloring and let it get good and dry, and then I'm going to cut it down to my 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. All right, that way I can kind of see where I like what I've done better than other parts and use that as well. 107, Karen, you can have that. We had a nice little storm go through. We've had a storm go through pretty much every day, but today it actually cooled it down. Usually when we have that little afternoon thunder shower, it's like a steam room when you go outside. Okay, so to recap, 3D Sunflower's 3D embossing folder, and it's Sunflower. I keep putting an S on it. There's no S at the end. It's Sunflower 3D embossing folder and a Secret C panel. So then I'm going to take my Whisper White ink pad, and you know when you get these, they come uninked, and then you get a bottle of, not that one, nope, not that one. You get a bottle of the white refill, and so you just want to put a whole bunch of dots of the refill on that uninked pad, smear it around with your bone folder, clean your bone folder, and then you're ready to go. This is the ink pad that I also used to make myself, actually my friend made this for me, but I am telling everyone I know to do it because it's awesome. I used one of these ink pads with no white ink on it to make a Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, and it works wonderfully. All right, so that's just a little tip. So we've got our inked with white pad, and I am going to tap it on the front all over the embossed sections. Okay, now this looks very, very bright, which is awesome, but the Whisper White ink dries paler, lighter, less intensely, however you'd like to describe it, then it comes out ahead of time. So here's what I did. I inked it the first time, and then I went and I did something else, okay? I actually probably made some bread or fed my sourdough starter or something like that. A couple hours later, I came back, and we're gonna just, I'm gonna speed it up a little bit with my heat tool on low. You can do that if you want. To be quite honest, I've had better results by letting it just air dry naturally. So if you've got the time to do that, I highly recommend that you do that. All right, but we're gonna move it along just a little bit here. And then I inked it a second time, same exact way. All right. Okay, now I'm going to let this one dry just like that. And I am going to, through the magic of television, I'm going to reach over here for a panel that I already did those two things, and it's been drying much of the afternoon. Okay, so you can see this is 2 layers of ink on Secret C. You can see it has a distinct blue tinge, and I'm not going to kid you. I think you could very easily put a sentiment on this and call it good. All right, so the difference is going to be colored, not colored. I think you could make a card doing almost anything with this embossing folder, but we're going to go ahead and color it just so that you can see how to do it. I've used small blending pens, and I'm going, or blending brushes, and I'm going to take some Daffodil Delight. I know, it's gorgeous with just the white, all right? But let's try this, okay? So I'm going to take my ink, and you can be pretty generous because it's not going to be very dark. And I am going from the inside out on all of my petals of my flowers. Okay? Just like this. And remember, there's inside petals too. You want to get those. And then you want to get these little bloomy petals. These are like baby sunflowers trying to get grown here. And when you emboss, you can move that panel around on the inside the embossing folder to get different ones of the sunflowers highlighted in the center of your card panel. Okay. So you can already see it. Now, it will dry a little lighter. So to me, that's both a good thing and a bad thing, right? Part of me wants it to stay just this dark, but you would have to just keep adding ink to it. And it would take you a hot minute. Okay, I see it. I've got some sunflower leaves, petals over here. I've got some sunflower petals over here. And I think that's all of the petals that I have. So I'll put that aside. I'm going to get out my Granny Apple Green. Hi, Aniki. Appreciate you coming. Thanks, Virginia. Yep, early espresso for fall colors would be awesome. All right, now I'm going to take some Granny Apple Green, and we're going to use that on the leaves, okay? And I'm going to try to color most of the leaf, because I'm only going to use one color. We're going to come back in just a minute and put some more color on the petals with a different color. I'm going to use some Timid Tiger here in just a minute. Okay, and then this is going to have a little bit of green because that's stem. Put a little more green here. All right, I don't see any more leaves. See, I had more leaf on the panel that I made for my sample just because of where I put it in the embossing folder. Okay, so we can set that aside for a second. And then I'll take some pecan pie, and we're going to ink up the centers with some pecan pie. Like so. You could even try, if you do this, experiment with doing your inking drying a third time with even more white on there. You might even love that even more. All right, so we'll get this one inked up with the pecan pie. Okay, now I'm going to, as I said, grab some Timid Tiger, and we're going to make these into orangey yellows. Okay, hi Faith, appreciate you coming. All right, and I'm going to be pretty generous with these. I'm going to go over the Daffodil Delight that I already did, and I'm going to try to come further out on the petals. Okay, if you like them in with just the yellow, just leave the yellow, but come back. I would come back with a second coat of the Daffodil Delight, okay, so that you get a little more color on there. Okay, we'll do some here like so. I saw someone had done this. They had actually embossed a basic white panel, and then they had used Stampin' blends to color the leaves and the background and the petals. It was stunning. I'm going to try that, but I have fear about my artistic ability to get that done right. So this one I felt pretty good about because it worked out pretty well. I was happy with it. And I'm going to show you a fun little thing here when we get this done that I really liked, how it added just a little bitty touch of funness to it. Funness. Funness should be a word if it is not a word. Okay. So now we have some light, bright orange sunflowers. Ooh, you can really see the color now, can't you? It will dry lighter, which, like I said, is both a good thing and a bad thing. All right, so there's all of our color brushed on. Put a little bit more right there, a little bit more in here. Now I'm going to set that aside to dry for a second, and while we do, I'm going to go ahead and make our sentiment. Okay, so hang on just a second, because I forgot a small piece of cloud cover ink, cardstock. Duh, I needed another piece of cardstock. And on that piece of cardstock, I am going to stamp my front right words, the right words. It's very difficult for me when stamp sets start with the word the, because it sounds weird when you're saying it, like when you're talking about it or even writing it. But it's called the right words, and it's very much a lot of the right words for the cards that we need throughout each year. All right, so I have stamped my cloud cover cardstock with Secret Sea ink, and I'm going to take, where is my, there we go, where's my, I'm gonna name my, that's gonna be my farm name one of these days. So I'm gonna take the next to smallest Textured Notes dies. If you don't have the Textured Notes bundle, please just get it. Even if you don't love the stamp set, please at least get the dies. These are absolutely go-to rectangle dies, and they are wonderful. So I'm going to go off screen just a second, and I'm going to cut out this sentiment using this second next to smallest die. All right? So be hanging on for one momento. For one momento. Okay, so there's going to be our sentiment. Very, very simple. And let's go ahead and stamp. We're still waiting on that to dry, so I'm going to take advantage of this little bit of time. And I'm going to stamp my inside sentiment, also from the right words, on a piece of cloud cover. Now, I used the largest of the Textured Notes dies to cut out my inner liner. I just thought that would add a little fun. And my inner liner is cloud cover, not basic white, all right? So I'm going to just do a quick stamp here to be sure that my sentiment will be straight, because, you know, It all has to do with how good a job they engraved the sentiment on the red rubber, and then how good a job you did putting your sticker on. Okay, so you want to be sure you've done that, and I feel pretty good about that. So I feel like as long as the words look straight to me, that we'll be good. We are. Okay. And then I'm going to take the leaf from the textured notes set, this leaf right here, and I'm going to ink it in Secret C, and then I'm going to stamp it off once, twice, 3 times a lady, and then I'm going to stamp right over the top of the sentiment. And while I have it out, let me go ahead and do my envelope. We'll do the same thing. Once, twice, 3 times a lady. And then we'll put that down in the corner. See how that looks? It looks a little bit cloud coverish. All right. Now, let me show you something. Let's talk envelope for just a hot second. When I put the DSP on here, I pulled a piece of the Secret C 2025-2027 in color DSP from the in color family. And I brushed it with the Daffodil Delight and the Timid Tiger. And that sounded like a really good idea, and it's okay, but I don't love it. So on this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use Secret C and a blending brush. I cannot say that word today for some reason. All right. And I'm gonna get this out of the way, or I'm gonna make a very big mess here in just a second. I'm just going to color this, because by making the background the same color as the printed images, to me, it's becoming sort of like the embossed card front is, because I picked the flowers. I mean, it's not exact, but it's pretty good, okay? And we're just gonna color that up. So if I was gonna pick one of these methods and I was going to ink my paper for my envelope flap, this is the one I would do. Don't do like I did and use the 2 colors, the daffodil and the orange, unless you love it. If you love that, do it for certain sure. But for me, I prefer this. Not inked is a little bit too light for me, but this is making me happy. All right, so I'm now going to close my ink pad. Hi, Beverly. And I'm going to set this aside for a few minutes to dry, because there's quite a bit of ink on there. Okay. This is essentially dry now. So here's what I'm going to do. I have an older clear Wink of Stella, and I am going to use it to paint Wink of Stella on here. And what that's going to do is it's going to wake up some of that white that's under there. It's going to do a little bit of blending of those, and it's going to lighten things up. Oh, and it's also going to make it shimmery and so pretty. All right, so that's why I said it was going to take me a minute to do it, because there's a lot to paint here. But you can see it starting to blend that color. It is, however, pretty forgiving, so if you get a little bit outside the lines, it won't be a problem. And you're just really brushing all of those petals, like so. Like that. Can you see it picking up the white? See, it's got a little bit of shimmer, not a lot. Like I said, this is an older pen, and I used an older pen on purpose. I didn't want a whole lot of extra wink on there. I just wanted the little bit of shimmer from what's left, and I wanted to kind of pick up that white to kind of lighten things up and give it a little bit of a shimmery wimmery. That's a word I just made up, the shimmery wimmery. A little bit of shimmery wimmery for your petals, my lady. I don't know why I just used that really bad British accent, but I did. I did, and I can't take it back. It's on YouTube, so it's a thing. It's a thing now. You can't take it back once it's on YouTube. Unless YouTube doesn't want you to have it, and then it's just gone. That's how that works. I did a whole reel the other day with a cute little card for Halloween that you will see on Monday. And I did a whole reel, and Instagram said, yep, no, no, you can't have it. Sorry, we're not posting it for you. You can find it in your drafts, but no, I couldn't. So you aren't going to get to see it. I'm so sorry. Because it's cute. I mean, you'll get to see the card, but you won't get to see the reel. Sorry. I might have said some words that aren't fit for videos. Mm-hmm. And it brought home to me that I am a little bit too old for social media, apparently. I need a 15-year-old IT helper in my home, and I don't have one. Okay, we have one more, so let's just go ahead and pick this up here. At this point, I've got some actual color on my wink now, and that's fine. Okay, so we'll kind of do that, and then we can do the same with our leaves. It's very soft, which is what I really actually think is perfect. I love how this color palette turned out for a Sympathy card, don't you? I just think it's very pretty. Kind of quiet and subtle. Okay. And then I'm going to show you one more little tippy tip. One more little tippy tip that you can do or not do. Your choice. That is like what Yoda would say, do or do not. There is no try. What I did after I got to this point was I took a blender pen, not a blending brush, but a blender pen, and reopened my little white pad, and I dipped my blender pen in there, and then I used it to add a little bit of white. It's not a lot, it's just a little bit in these little parts down here. Now this is in the minutia, okay? So if you don't want to do this, don't. But if you are just enjoying the coloring and the artisticness of it, then do this. Take the time to do it. Just add little bits of white in the center of these petals. It just adds a little more definition, and everybody will just be so impressed with your artisticness. That's right. And the white is so forgiving. You know, it's like liquid glue. The advantage of using liquid glue is that it squishes. The disadvantage of using liquid glue, it squishes. So in this case, the advantage of doing it with the white is also its disadvantage. If you love what you did, it's going to disappear a little bit, but you can always go back and add. If you hate what you did, it's going to disappear a little bit, and it'll be like it never happened. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? And you don't have to do it everywhere. Just pick up a few little pieces and parts. You can do a little bit inside the little middles. You can do a little bit at the edges of the center. So you can do however you like, and just add and keep adding and keep adding and keep adding, okay? Or don't do it at all. It's up to you. It's going to be beautiful regardless of what you do. Now, remember, this is not the size I wanted. So now that it's done, we're going to pretend it's completely dry. I am going to cut this, and I don't love this part. I like this side, so I'm going to go ahead and cut down from here. So I had 4 1/4, so I'm going to cut it down to 3 7/8. I'll cut it down partway on this side, and then I'll turn it over and cut down over here. Kind of keeps the prettiness centered. And then I kind of like that one. I think that's cool. So I'm going to take most of my cut from the bottom, and this is going to go to 5 1/8. Let me do a little more off of that end, like that. Okay. All right. So if I have done this correctly, I have 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Yes, indeed. Okay. Now, before we put that on our card front, let's take a little bit, you know what, it isn't a you need to, but you may find that it is not quite as juicy as you want. But beware, because it can also be too juicy. It's a very thick ink, and if you get too much in there, you may find that it's kind of bubbling up on your stamp. So I would, before you just arbitrarily re-ink, I would stamp what you're trying to stamp on a piece of scrap paper, and see what kind of an image you're getting. Okay, I wouldn't just go for it like automatically. Does that make sense? I wouldn't just go for it automatically. Okay, now I'm going to take some glue dots, which I'm going to find right here, and I'm going to put them, this is some Secret C 3/8 inch faux linen thread. We're going to go right about in the center, and I'm going to cut a length of it. We'll put some a glue dot on each end. Okay, right about there. Okay, and you want to pull it just snug enough that it's not going to flop and kind of sag, but you don't want it to be too tight or it will bow your card front. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back and adhere it to our Secret C card front. And then we'll add our sentiment and a few sparkle gems and put our innards and we'll be done. So when on the blog post, it's going to say that it's kind of a time-consuming card, but it's like some of those recipes you see where really it only takes you about 20 minutes of hands-on time, but there's some extra wait time. All right, and yes, you can hurry the drying along with the low setting on your heat tool. Just be judicious so that you don't bow your card base up or your cardstock too much. Let's see, that's that way, yes. Okay, so we're going to adhere it like that on there. And then I'm going to put my dimensionals on my card front. And I'm kind of just staying off of the ribbon. Let me just double check that that is going to work. Yep. It's very, very simple. Not a whole lot of, oh, that came off of there, didn't it? Stay on there. My card front may still be a little bit dampish, so it's making it a little harder for my dimensionals to stick, okay? So again, if you were making this at home, which I hope you will, you'll want to give yourself time for your card front to dry, for everything to dry. Okay, and we're going to put that on, and I adhered the card base, the card front to my card base so that I could extend the edge of this sentiment off the edge of the card front, but not off of the edge of the card base. Okay, we have some new sparkle dots, and I'm using the darkest green color. Are they the same color as everything else? No, but do they work very nicely in there? Yes, which is why I'm using them. Come here. You know, sometimes the only way I find my tweezers is because of this awesome little chain that my friend Kathy has given me a few of, which has been awesome. Just saying. I'm going to add one right there. I'm going to add one right here. And then I'm going to add a couple out in the field here. All right. And that would be 4. And so obviously I need a 5th one. We're going to put him right there like that. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and adhere our innards to the innard side with some liquid glue. Hey, Jean, appreciate you coming. Yes, this is one of those you just need to put it on the list, and it needs to be the first thing in your cart when you go to order on the 1st of July, when this becomes available to customers. Or if you are a demonstrator, you can order it right now. Or if you would like to be a demonstrator and order it now and then get your discount, you can do that too. You can put these in your starter kit. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. All right, now our secret Seaified DSP is ready to adhere to our envelope of flap, and we'll be done ski. And look at that, it still only took 30 minutes. Yay! Yay us! Yay us! Yay us! Yes, I much, much, much prefer the Secret C to the yellow and orange. I really do. Now, to be fair, anybody who got this card with this coloring, it would be fine, because part of the reason I didn't like it is when I put it together like so to take the picture. To me, that became a little garish. Now, let me show you. We have 2 cards now. Oh, look at that. I'm going to have to replace that anyway because I stuck it on my blending brush. But look at the difference. Now, I do personally believe that this one that we just did is going to fade as it dries. And I think that's okay, because however it turns out, I think is beautiful. All right, so 2 ways to do your envelope flap. Pick this way, just saying. Alrighty, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all coming and spending the time with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this card. I hope you'll be back next Thursday for another card. And truly, I don't know what we're going to do yet, but I hope you will enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday, and have a great week. See ya. Thanks, guys. Ta.